Hi my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. For those of you that do not know, my name is Lara. I am a fashion and content and lifestyle creator. From the title, you're going to see that I'm talking about having a hysterectomy at the age of 45. Wow, that's the first time I've said that on camera. So let's talk about this. Before we get into the topic, I've got lines so I stay on track. A lot of reasons why women have hysterectomies. The common, I believe, are fibroids. Then there's so many reasons. The main reason why I'm having this hysterectomy is due to fibroids. Trigger warning before we start. I'm going to talk a little bit about my history. So I'm going to be talking just about certain things that have happened to me led to the decision to have a hysterectomy. So if you don't like to listen to things like this, please do click out. The most important thing is obviously your mental health. So, and if you have any questions after watching this video, please leave it in the comment section and I'll try to answer whatever I can. I am not a medical professional. If anything I mention in this video affects you, please seek medical advice from a medical professional. It's a few days before I go in to get my surgery. Just for a little bit of history, I found out I had fibroids when I found out I was pregnant. So exactly the same time I found out I was pregnant was when I found out I had fibroids. The funny thing is I should have known that I had fibroids because I had a best friend at the time who was experiencing a lot of pain due to fibroids. She had actually had fibroid surgery. She had excessive amount of bleeding. I mean, bleeding for days, weeks, months even. And I had supported her through all that. So in the back of my mind, I actually knew what the signs for the fibroids were. But I just, you never think this is happening to you. At the time also, I was on a weight loss journey. So I had lost a significant amount of weight. I was doing something called the Cambridge diet. So I initially thought that this was possibly a side effect of that, why my periods were so heavy. So when I say my periods were heavy, I mean I was bleeding for probably 7 to 10 days. 32 years old, I was working as a social worker, so I had a lot of home visits I had to do. Luckily, I was working quite close to the area that I lived. So sometimes I would get in my car, sit down, and I would soak completely through my clothes into my car seat, and I would have to rush home to get changed. And none of this was clicking in my head that I needed to seek medical attention, so I didn't. So anyway, fast forward, I found out I was pregnant. They did the scan and they said, "Oh, did you know that you had fibroids?" And I was like, "What? No, I didn't." They were like, "Okay, well, it shouldn't bother you right now because you're pregnant, so it'll be fine." So I went through my pregnancy, but the problem I had during my pregnancy is I was thinking, oh, this is great. And I think they advised me at the time that because I was pregnant, it would mean that the bleeding would stop. The bleeding did not stop. So all through my pregnancy, I was having a period and it was a bleeding every day. So I was very weak, extremely tired, extremely nauseous. And I ended up spending quite a lot of time in the hospital because I was really worried that something was wrong. And every time I went to the doctors, they would do a check. Everything was fine other than the fact that I was bleeding because my fibroid and the baby were growing at the same time. And to the point where it was obviously a baby demands a lot of, nutrients and things from you to grow. So I think they actually said to me, there was basically not enough room for the fibroid. I didn't even have one fibroid. I had many fibroids. So they were all over the place. So my poor little baby did not have enough room to kind of grow. So they were really worried and they had to keep an eye on me. I was extremely tired. I remember I kept going to work. I was feeling very dizzy all the time. And I remember my manager at the time, I wouldn't say her name, my manager at the time, because I just got a new job and I was really worried that I was in my probation period and I was worried that I was going to fail. So I kept going into work. I've worked with the company for a long time. I just got a new role. And I remember my manager at the time calling me into the office and saying to me, "Lara, we really care about you and we understand your dedication to doing this work, but we're super worried that something's going to happen to you, something's going to happen to this baby. So I think you should go to your GP and get signed off for work." So I ended up having to be signed off for work for basically a majority of my pregnancy. It was a very high stress pregnancy anyway. When I was due to have my baby in the hospital, they had to put me on standby for possibility of blood transfusion. Anyway, I had my son, everything was fine. My periods went back to being very, very heavy. I went to the doctor. The doctors messed me about so much. I had my hospital appointments kept being cancelled. I would get letters saying, you didn't show up for your appointment, so we cancelled your appointment. And I was like, what is going on? I did not cancel my appointment. I ended up having to make a complaint about that hospital, and then I went to see my doctor again, and he said, you know what, Lara, you can actually, there's something in the UK called right to choose, so you can choose where you want your medical, where you want to be seen. So most of the time, the way it works is you get seen in the catchment area that you live. So for instance, if you live in Croydon, you go to Croydon Hospital. I didn't live in Croydon. Wherever you live, you can choose Chelsea and Westminster Hospital, which is one of the best hospitals in the UK. I went in, everything moved quite quickly after that. They discovered where my fibroid was, and they said it was in a position which was causing me to bleed quite heavily. I ended up just having that fibroid removed because they see there was any point in removing the ones all, because there were many. It was a surgery. I went in, I had my surgery. I moved on from there. I was having yearly appointments, go to my doctor. I would go and get a blood test every year. Although my bleeding was still heavy, I would have clots and things, but I went to the doctor. And at one point, they were calcifying, did everything I needed to do. I lost weight, a significant amount of weight, because they did some research into what could possibly be affecting the growth of this fibroid. So bleeding was still happening, and they talked to me about getting a treatment method. And the first treatment method they talked to me about was getting a coil inserted, which was a Mirena coil, which is a very low hormone coil that really just combats the hormone of the fibroid, so it shrinks it, or it disrupts the hormone so that the fibroid won't grow. So I did that, but I noticed even after I did that, some people, like a friend of mine, had the Mirena coil in and basically said her period stops completely. Mine, however, did not. And I get, quite heavy bleeding. And the reason I'd gone back this time is that although it had managed my periods, in the sense that rather than having periods for 7 to 10 days, I was having periods for 2 to 3 days, and the bleeding was very minimal. So my treatment was the Mirena coil, and I had a medication called tranexamic acid coil, but I never really had to use the tranexamic acid after I had my coil. I used it a lot before I had my coil. Going back to it, they couldn't find this coil. I went to the GP couldn't find it. They sent me to the hospital couldn't find it. They tried to do an internal scan, they couldn't find it. Then finally I saw a consultant that said, let's do an x-ray. So they did the x-ray and they found it. And basically my coil has been pushed to one side, so it's on my left side. So every time I'm having my period now, it's really excruciatingly painful. I went to the consultant, and the first thing she said to me is, how old are you? Do you have any kids? Yes, I have one. Are you planning on having any other children? And I was like, absolutely not. I'm 45. My son is a teenager now. We are on the home run. I'm at the point now where I'm looking forward to him growing up and hanging out and being, my aim is to be a 55-year-old woman sitting on the beach in a bikini with a six-pack. I kid. So she said, okay, so in that case, we would recommend you having a hysterectomy. And I was like, excuse me, girl, you're being a little bit dramatic. What do you mean, have a hysterectomy? And I was like, what? That's a bit excessive. And then she said, obviously she could see my face. She said, okay, well, the other option would be something called an embolism, I think it's called, where I'll put the name up here, where they cut the blood supply off to the fibroid. But she was like, to be honest with you, there's way too many fibroids that this is possibly not even going to work. But when the option on the reality of someone saying to you, you're going to have a hysterectomy at the age of 45, when they say that to you, it's like my heart dropped. Not because I wanted to have any kids, but it was like, oh, so now the option is completely gone, would be completely gone if I took that. But then the alternative of that was for me to continue to suffer with these fibroids, with this uterus that has literally caused me so much pain and so much hindrances to the way I travel, to the way I live. It's really significantly affected the way I live my life for the last 15, 20 years. And I didn't really think about it. When I left that surgery and I started thinking about it, I realized that the fact I had low iron, most of the time I was dizzy, I was tired, I couldn't like form sentences together. I would be talking about something and I would completely lose my train of thought. I'm self-employed, so most of the time I have to go into London for events, and I would always get on the train and I'm thinking, oh my God, today is the day that I'm gonna pass out on the train, because I was always just tired. Like I go to sleep tired, I wake up tired, I can't sleep during the day. Also, I've got, obviously being a single mum with a child on the spectrum, he also has his own issues with like sleep and things. So most of the time he doesn't sleep. I'm up, I'm worrying about him or trying to help him to get back to sleep. And when I wake up in the morning, I don't like say, oh, I'm gonna have a nap today, because I have a business to run and I'm busy. So I sat down and I thought about that, and I was like, oh, you know what? I think this is the best decision to make. I also spoke to so many people who were like, my life changed. I actually made another appointment with my GP just to get her advice. I have one GP who I specifically ask to see all the time, because she's a Black medical professional and she gives it to you straight, and I like that. I don't feel like I'm being dismissed. And you may think, what's the significance of that? I think there's so many research into Black people and the negligence that medical science has had on us, that is just important, that if you can speak to someone that has your back, then you know it's best for you to do that. And she said to me, oh, you know what, she obviously spoke to me from a point of, I'm not telling you what to do, but these are the results, and this is what women have said to me after. You know, saying things that some women have said to her, oh my God, I wish I'd done this earlier. I remember when I had to email different people to say, okay, I'm gonna be off work, I'm gonna be doing this. And someone said to me, you know what, I've had friends did that, and they said it significantly changed their life, and it's a lot better, and their life is a lot better. While I am extremely nervous about this surgery, I'm also very excited to see the changes that it would make for my life, because constantly being on an iron supplement, which I probably will always need to be on this iron supplement, to be fair, because I have got a sickle cell trait. I'm looking forward to being able to do things a way a normal person is able to do things, because my life is basically it's been tough. It's been very painful. And while I did think, oh my God, I think for me, when they told me that I was gonna have this hysterectomy, because I have a son, I always thought I was gonna have a daughter. You know, I'm like, damn, who am I gonna pass all this stuff to? All these shoes and clothes I collect. I mean, there's more. Yes, I know that's a very trivial reason to want to have a daughter, but you know, I did basically like mourn the fact that I'm not gonna have my little daughter, but I'm 45, so I was never gonna have that daughter anyway, because the childbearing thing is gone. So I guess that's my story on what has led to this. So I'm in the stage of preparing to go in for my surgery. My decision was to stay in my own home, because I just feel like being in my own home would help me recover properly. I've got a lot of my family and that are going to be coming to support me. I'm trying to do things like meal prep. It's obviously summer now. I've swapped out my winter clothes and my summer clothes so that I know that everything is just in place for when I come into my house, so that I'm not doing as much, I'm not doing any lifting. I'm pretty much probably gonna just camp out on this sofa and watch the TV shows that I've been avoiding or not being able to concentrate on. A few questions that I asked my GP was, would I go into menopause? My GP said, no, I wouldn't go into menopause, because they would, while they're doing a total hysterectomy, I'm not clear yet if I will be having a myomectomy, which is where they give you like a C-section cut and take out the uterus that way. It will depend again on the size of my uterus. What they've said is that my uterus is the size of a 5-month-old pregnant woman. My stomach always looks very big and very bloated. When I wear clothes, I have to size up more, because it's basically so tight on my stomach and it gets really, really uncomfortable. Obviously, bowel issues, going to the toilet. I could be sitting here and I'm fine, and the next minute it's like, you need to go and wee. And if I don't go and wee like right now, like as soon as it comes into my head, I'm gonna have an accident. So I asked my doctor, would I go through menopause? They said no, because they won't be taking away my ovaries. They're literally only going to be taking away my cervix and my uterus. In terms of my body image, I don't think there's going to be anything much changing about my body. I did actually initially go back to the gym before this because it came so fast. When they finally decided that I was having the surgery, they told me it was going to take 6 to 12 months. The consultant said my BMI was a little bit high and I needed to lose some weight. I think the amount of weight I need to lose is about 2.5 to 3 kilos. And I'm a person that's really struggled with diet mentality, so I don't tend to go on a diet anymore because I spent a significant amount of my life being on diets, and when I get told that I need to restrict what I'm eating, I start eating everything in sight. So I was preparing to kind of lose that weight. I joined the gym, I was going regularly. I actually had an injury on my back just from bending over, which I do think it's actually the fibroids, because I did watch a video where they were showing the weight of these fibroids. Me, when I lay down, I can pretty much feel them all across my stomach. Basically been told that they do hold on to quite a lot of water. So in terms of like how much they weigh, who knows how much they weigh. Hopefully I'll see if I really want to ask my consultant if I can actually get a picture of this, because I really want to see these things that have been hindering my life. I'm really excited and extremely nervous about this, guys. I'm excited to have my life back. I'm not excited about the recovery stage. I believe I will have to be in bed for about 2 weeks or take things easy for 2 weeks. And then after that, I will be able to drive and then pretty much go about a little bit of a normal life, but not too much of a normal life in the terms that I won't be lifting things. I also do not have a lift in my flat, so I will be climbing up quite a few flights of stairs, which I'm not excited about. That's my story, really. I hope this has been helpful to anyone who is considering this. It can be quite daunting when they say to you, hey, you're gonna have a hysterectomy at the age of 45, which for me felt quite young, but I've been able to do quite a lot of research and watch different people's stories, and watching people who are 25 have hysterectomy, so right up to people who are, you know, in their late 60s, 70s having a hysterectomy. My mum actually had one when she was in her early 60s or late 50s for a completely different reason. She can't remember half of it though. When I asked her, like, how did you feel? Do you remember this? She was like, and she had a different one. So she had a laparoscopy, where they just put incisions on your abdomen and just take your uterus out. I hope that's been helpful. Again, please do leave a comment below if you have any questions or you just want to know anything. I will try. I'm not going to vlog it on the day because I feel like I'm definitely going to be very nervous. I have a lot of things that I'm anxious about. Things like obviously going into the hospital to have the surgery, what it's going to be like when I get home. You know, my son, because because with him being on the spectrum, there's certain things that he understands and certain things that he doesn't understand. This could be the time where he learns certain things about independence, you know. So yeah, I'm gonna keep you guys posted. I will make another video about a week after I come out of the hospital, just giving you guys a little chat about how it's been, what my recovery period has been like. I mean, obviously in the UK, a lot of the videos I've seen have been women in the US, which has been very helpful. But here in the UK and the US, things are done differently, like your day of surgery. What they've said to me is that I would likely be in the hospital for about 1 to 2 days. Then I would be coming home, be on a lot of bed rest. I've ordered kind of like protein shakes. I hate protein shakes, but I feel like when I come out of the hospital, I definitely want to concentrate more on kind of like my protein, making sure that my fluids are kept high because, yeah, so guys, I'm gonna stop waffling. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you've come this far, thank you guys for all your support. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. I know that this is a completely different style of topic compared to what I talk about on this channel, because I mainly only talk about fashion, and now I'm starting to include some kind of home videos in my content. But anyway, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow me along my lifestyle journey. And I wanted to say thank you because now we are at over 2,000 subscribers. And And I recently just got accepted into the YouTube partnership program, which is crazy because I've been trying to do this for the last 5 years, because YouTube sent a reminder that I was actually on YouTube for 5 years, and I was like, girl, you really have been slacking on YouTube. So I've trying to film as many videos because I know that for the next 4 to 6 weeks, I will only be able to do sit down videos like this. So let me know, guys, what you want to see. I have filmed a few haul videos because it's summer and I don't want to be excluded from the fashion aspect of things. There's a lot of new in fashion and a lot of styles and a lot of styling tips that I'm really passionate about. So I filmed those videos and I will, just sit down and talk through my styling concept of them when I have time. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching my video. Make sure you like, you subscribe, and you follow me along on my journey. And I'll see you in my next video, guys. Bye.